My name is Ashwin Ravichandran. I am Portfolio Advisor at Mest Africa. I have been in Ghana for the last 11 years now. I came in 2015 on July 31st. So a little bit more than 10 plus years here in Ghana today. Surprisingly, I went to school in India. I've never studied abroad. I went to a school in Delhi for I think till 3rd grade, and then I moved to Chennai, which is also aka Madras, in India till I finished high school. Then I went to Coimbatore to a university to study computer science. And at that time, what people thought I was talking about black magic. And at that time, I studied AI, and this was in 2008. And I graduated, and then I went for another degree because I felt the Indian education system is heavily focused on critical thinking and STEM activities, versus I felt that I think growing up in a world which was ever changing, I needed a bit more. So in 2013, I went to a program called the Young India Fellowship. People apply every year and only 100 get in. And that is really focused on liberal arts. So really focusing on sociology, psychology, group dynamics, understanding impact. So I did that. So basically computer science and then liberal arts is what I've studied. Everything in India been shaped a lot by, I think, the Indian ecosystem in a lot of ways. And I think for the lack of a better comparison, I think India is extremely competitive when it comes to education. I think I was comfortably in probably the top 10 or the top 5 in the class, but there was a lot of healthy competition. There was a lot of, I think, learning which required. I think what I got from my engineering university was how to ask questions and how to actually figure out how to answer them in a methodological way or stuff like that. But I just also want to add that a lot of my education also came from the real world and experiencing, I think, different instances at different points in the real world. So I started my first company, I think when I was 18 or 19, was doing just basic websites for people. That went really well. But doing that business at 18 or 19 taught me how to do customer service, really understand negotiation, really understand what it is to take care of a customer. So I think it's a combination that yes, education had a lot to do, but I think practical experience and being on the ground and being on the road also taught me a lot. And to be truthfully honest, I think I've always had mentors outside the classroom. And I think mentors who have not directly impacted my education, but more or less like mentors who have challenged my thinking, right? I think the role of mentors is extremely crucial. I remember when I was a young 21-year-old, guy, had no clue what I was going to do in my life. Today at 36, I'm sitting in Ghana, halfway across the world, where rest of my cohorts are sitting in almost all the developed countries. They're sitting in the US, Canada, Europe, Australia, but none of them have actually found themselves to Ghana, let alone Africa, right? And I think what really matters for me at that point is that I was challenged a lot by my mentors on the way I was thinking, not the outcome, right? I think typically there is, two types of mentors. The one, mentors who I think challenge your decision, versus I think the other part of mentors who challenge your thinking. And fortunate to say, I'm also today a mentor who challenges the thinking rather than actually challenges the outcome, because the outcome can change for a variety of reasons. But I think challenging the way of thinking is what is healthy. And I think that's what we've been able to do. My education was phenomenal. Bless all my teachers. They taught me really well. They taught me all the fundamentals. I'm able to use all of that today in the real world. What I think missed out for me when it came to excellent education was, I think, 2 things. The first thing was the lack of usage of hands. I think I was in a school where everything was promoted that you basically read and write math or physics or chemistry or history. But I wish there was more emphasis on, like, how can you fix a bulb, or how can you do electrician work, or like how can you sew a piece of wood or something of that sort, because I think that would have really helped me. And the second thing which I would have really also appreciated is, I think, not just listening to the engineers, doctors, and lawyers when I was growing up, right? I think India has a very similar thing to Ghana, where I think every parent aspires their child to either work with numbers or legal or in engineering. I wish I was shown more people from different walks of life. So filmmakers, for example, right? How they think, or psychologists, psychiatrists, sociologists. Like, I wish there was a bit more exposure to the alternate subjects and alternate, I think, ways of life, so that my education could have been classified as excellent. This topic of mine is my favorite, and peer networks, I think, has been, if not the most important thing in my life, right? I think today I can very proudly say that I have a friend in every country, and that friend helps me do what I want to when I go to that country, or if I require any sort of connection in that country, they're able to facilitate that, right? So recently I was speaking to someone trying to understand, I think, the LATAM, which is the Latin America world. So I spoke to someone, that someone introduced me to someone, that person, because they got introduced to me by my friend, introduced me to other people, right? And see, that comes from peer relationships and really understanding, I think, how peer relationships actually work. So for me, that was, I think, very interesting, because I think the stronger the peer network, the easier for you to access information and the easier for you to access experiences, right? And I think if you're able to access both, you're able to make a very sound decision. So I think peer networks are extremely crucial and extremely important. I think the first thing which I would advise youngsters to do is that not all education happens in the four walls of a classroom. Right? I think youngsters today are equipped with phones, and as much as I dislike TikTok and Instagram, I also say that it's very positive because it teaches you about things which you're unaware about. Like the other day I was on LinkedIn and I started watching a video, and next thing I knew I was hearing about how there is this insane penetration of stable coins, which is like this new technology in Venezuela, right? So I think it's more or less like, I think from an education perspective, knowing that today there is classroom learning, there's digital learning, there is, I would say, ecosystem learning, and then there is, I think, what I would probably call as social learning. I think all four parts are very important, right? And I think really understanding that. And the second thing about leadership, and again, I think often people are said that they need to be leaders, they need to be able to, I think, command, and they need to be able to lead a bunch of people. But I think leadership also comes when you're able to also take a good decision for yourself, and you can just be your own leader. You don't need to be a leader for 20 people or 30 people. You can just be a leader for yourself, right? And really understanding that. What makes a really good leader is to be able to see the big picture, right? Like, I think a lot of decisions in our life are taken on the go and instantly, versus what we should be really focusing on is really understanding if that decision really benefits, I think, the global, or does it benefit your entire system as a whole. So I think that's where I would probably say leadership really comes into play for me.